Hey everyone, hi ladies, and welcome back to week 3 of your 21-day reset. And I'm so excited. I hope this has been as good for you as it has been for me. You've inspired me to take even a deeper dive into women's health and how agni, ama, and ojas correlate with Western medicine and functional medicine to a degree. And thank you very much for the challenge. I love it. So here we are in week 3, and it's all about ojas. Ojas is this force. It's kind of this nectar, as it's described in the Ayurvedic texts. It's this nectar, this force that enables us to sustain change over time. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about that in just a moment. But right now, let's take a quick review. So week 1 was all about agni, right? We have 4 categories of agni. If you remember, they are variable agni, sharp agni, or much too hot agni, variable, sharp, slow agni, that sluggish, much too long transit time, just food sitting in the gut for incredibly too long of a time. And then we have sama, right? That steady same agni, and that's what we're aiming for. Sama agni can be elusive. We might have it one day and not have it the next, but that's what we're aiming for. We want to tend to our digestive fire, which can be fickle because it's influenced by not only what we're eating, but our lifestyle. It's influenced by the time of day. It's influenced by season. It's influenced by what's happening in our environment outside of us, as well as inside of us, of course. So agni can be fickle. We want to tend to it and be mindful of it every day, and always strive for that steady sama agni. And then week 2 was all about ama. We talked about the toxicity of uncooked food, uncooked particles, uncooked food, uncooked emotions that get lodged in our bodies, lodged in our gut, lodged in our minds, and how this concept of ama, this uncooked end product, correlates with conventional medicine and gut dysbiosis, which is that fancy term for leaky gut, which is kind of the foundation for all things gut craziness. We don't want to go there. Okay, so ojas, what it is. The Ayurvedic texts refer to ojas as like a natural honey. It's the delicate essence produced from what we take in. And this could be food and beverage, but it's all things that we take in through our senses. The body transforms food into ojas through digestion and metabolism. Hence why we need to always be focusing on agni. It's always agni first. This is why we need strong agni. Robust ojas acts as a shield of sorts, warding off stress and disease that is brought in by not just physical pathogens, but psychic pathogens as well. The more ojas we have, the more we're resistant to other people's negativity, as our own spirit has a strong and a good container. There's a concept in Ayurvedic, in the world of Ayurveda, of ojas vampires, and these are the people who suck you dry. They're just their energy, their negativity, their despondency, their resentment, their hatred, just whatever, their neediness, whatever it is, they just tend to just drain us when we're around them, and something to be aware of, not just around others, but in ourselves as well. Signs of strong ojas. A person with strong ojas is calm and content, with both a strong immunity, a strong immune system, and a hearty, healthy endurance. People with good ojas have clear skin, a clear voice, clear eyes. They glow, right? I always think of people who have strong ojas can walk into a daycare. They can lick the floor and walk out and be absolutely fine. Nothing happens, no harm, no foul. Whereas a person with weak ojas or compromised ojas, they could go hiking at a state park and come home with strep throat. I mean, it's just there. If your ojas is compromised, you will be compromised, to be sure. It permeates this ojas, this nectar, this honey, as it's referred to, permeates all parts of the human body. And when it is deficient, then we become depleted and the body degenerates. So another saying in Ayurveda is no ojas, no life. Ojas and prana, they are the foundation of our life. Strong fertility is another sign of strong ojas or healthy ojas. Healthy reproductive organs and healthy reproductive tissues are another sign that ojas is good. And healthy hormone levels are also a sign that ojas is good. And so this is dependent on the confidence that your survival needs are met, right? So think this harkens back to the dance between our sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous systems, having strong resilience and a strong rebound ability. I want you to think back to 5 to Thrive. Think back to your 5-week program and the emphasis that was placed on stress, how it depletes our sex hormones, also called the yin hormones, and overtaxes our adrenals, which are the glands responsible for our sex hormones after the ovaries have clocked out. They're done. They're done. So now we rely on our adrenal glands. But if our adrenal glands are depleted from 3 decades of living pedal to the metal and putting out fires or being caught in the fires, then the adrenals aren't going to be up to the task. So maintenance of our ojas requires healthy food, healthy boundaries, check, healthy conservation of prana, and a healthy metabolism. So there we are, circling back to having a healthy agni, having strong and healthy agni. So maintaining ojas. If ojas is destroyed, the human being will also perish. That quote from the Charak Samhita also goes on to say, as bees collect honey from the fruits and flowers, similarly, the ojas is collected in the body by the actions, qualities, habits, and diet of the human. So our ojas is dependent on those four factors: the actions, our actions, the qualities. So our qualities, that's kind of your constitutional makeup, right? I mean, let's put it this way: Kapha people typically are born with buckets of ojas. They're just juicy. They're juicy and moist, right? Kapha people have great ojas. Can it be depleted? Heck yeah. Can it be misused? Heck yeah. People with high vata in their constitution, well, we have to work a little harder to cultivate and maintain our ojas. The ojas, we're born with ojas. We're born with it. And the texts tell us that it is emitted from the heart. So we all are born with it. We can be born with compromised ojas, of course, dependent on what was happening in the womb, and of course the diet, the actions, habits, and qualities of the mother. But suffice it to say, we come out of the womb with ojas, and then what we do with it from there is our responsibility. So how do we deplete ojas? Emotions can be depleting to ojas. Anger, grief, jealousy, resentment, negative attitude, that can be depleting to ojas. Too much salty food can be depleting to ojas. Alcohol, hands down, is depleting to ojas. A prolonged low intake of food, as well as a prolonged high intake of food, right? So it's one thing to do intermittent fasting, time restricted eating, or to watch caloric intake if there's a need for that. There's a time and a place, but taken to the extreme where there's a prolonged reduction of caloric intake, of course, that can lead to anorexia nervosa and starvation. That's no ojas going on there. But then again, if you think about, oh, well, but I get ojas through my diet, so I'll just keep eating, I'll eat dates all day, every day for the next, 30 days. Well, if you eat dates all day, every day for the next 30 days, you're going to end up putting on like 5 or 10 pounds. So a prolonged high intake of food will also deplete your ojas, not to mention that it will compromise your agni. Not following the rhythms of the sun is depleting to Ojas. Staying awake at night when we should be horizontal and getting rest. Injury, trauma, also depleting to Ojas, and excess. Now, of course, this wasn't written about in the Ayurvedic literature back in the day because they didn't have technology, but excess technology, we know there is absolutely no question that too much screen time is depleting to our Ojas. Now, how do we build it? Well, first and foremost, adequate sleep, adequate rest, time in nature, huge builder of Ojas. Proper food at the proper time and the proper amount are also, like, remember, you're not going to eat dates every day for 30 days and not expect your body to get disrupted. And then cultivating appropriate friendships is another way that we build Ojas. You know, there's this reciprocal relationship. And oil. Now, in Ayurvedic medicine, we want oil everywhere, anywhere and everywhere. We want oil externally. We want oil internally in our bodies. Oil will build Ojas. We want to put oil in our ears, in our nose, in our vagina, in our butt. I mean, anywhere there's a hole, we want to put some oil in there. So when I talk about internal application of oil, it could be nasal oils, again, Karnapurana, the oil in your ears, eating plenty of healthy oils, olive oil, avocado, coconut oil, making sure you get plenty of ghee on board. Ghee will oleate our body, and that's why during this week of the 21-day reset, we're consuming just 2 teaspoons of ghee in the morning to help oleate our body from the inside out. Ghee is very soothing, moisturizing, and even healing to the GI tract. More on that in a minute. So external oil, you know about the Abhyanga, you know how I feel about that. I feel like Abhyanga is a way to cloak ourselves in energetic armor. So oil in, oil out, oil all the time. Okie dokie. Next, there's this kind of global approach called the 4R approach. This isn't an Ayurveda deal. It's more, this actually came from the field of naturopathy, and it's used to establish a healthy gut immune barrier. And think back to the first week, and there was that list, that brief, albeit brief list in the first email of the ways the gut interacts with all these other systems of the body. The gut immune system, they're like 2 peas in a pod. So the first thing we do is remove triggers, and these are triggers and irritants to our gut lining. Well, you can put a big check right there next to that because you're doing it. Then we want to replace with the good stuff, and check. You're doing it. You're replacing it with, you're taking away the processed foods, processed sugars, alcohol, too much, reducing caffeine intake, I hope, and replacing it with the good stuff, the whole foods, the plant-based foods, the God-made foods. So check. Then we want to re-inoculate with friendly bacteria and the foods that those bacteria need to grow. Check. That's all about plant diversity. So yeah, give that a big fat check, and you're doing that. And then repairing the gut lining. So check. You're doing that. You're drinking a little bit of ghee every single morning. Now, if you think, if anybody's done a traditional Ayurvedic khichdi cleanse, or you've done one of my community cleanses, you know that ghee plays a very, hold on, I gotta change gears here. Ghee plays a significant role in the 5 days of the khichdi mono diet. We're drinking increasing amounts of ghee in the morning, not only to oleate the body in preparation for the laxative therapy to come, but also to soothe, cool, moisturize, and heal any disruptions in our GI tract. And another reason that we do it is because it gives our body some fat to burn, and so it starts it wakes up our metabolism. So anyway, we do want to say one thing about digestive enzymes. When we think about going back to the 3rd R of the 4R approach, that reinoculation. So yes, there's a time and a place for probiotics, prebiotics. There's absolutely a time and a place to get some digestive enzymes, whether that's through a prescription or going through, checking with your healthcare provider and going the more natural approach and taking, there's bovine enzymes that you can get over the counter. There's a time and a place for all of that, and when necessary, I think yes, do it. Ultimately, though, we hope to be stabilizing our enzymatic activity through food, and your microbiota loves, capital Loves, loves fiber, and it relies on adequate, diverse fiber intake to stay healthy itself. So when you compare that, there's only 17 digestive enzymes that belong to the human body. That's crazy, only 17 digestive enzymes for the human. But at the same time, our microbiome, the trillions of microbiome, they contain an insane number of digestive enzymes. Over upwards of 60,000 digestive enzymes live in our gut that are produced by the microbiome and that are used as fuel in the microbiome. And the biome loves the work of breaking down fiber. And this is how short chain fatty acids are created in your body. And that's a whole nother deep dive. That's a whole nother, there's a webinar in there somewhere, but suffice it to say, those short chain fatty acids could actually be the magic that make our entire biome world go round. So when it comes to replacing, repairing, and re-inoculating, we've been focusing on this plant diversity in the 21-day reset and emphasizing how many different plants that you can get into your culinary rotation on a daily basis and a weekly basis. Now, people who are new to eating plant forward, this plant forward way of nutrition, just aiming for 30 different plants in a week, that's huge. That is the biggest step. And if that's where you stay for a while, that's fantastic. That's fine. That's a huge step forward. Now, those who are a bit more hardcore about their plant nutrition, they aim for 30 different plants a day. That's more challenging. I mean, you can do it, but then if you try to get 30 different plants in the next day, that's a lot of plants. That's a lot of food. So, but anyway, it's possible. It's possible. And I took this from Dr. Will Bolshewick's book called Fiber Fueled. Highly recommend. 2 thumbs up. Got to read it. So, and I, if it's already out there, I don't want to reinvent the wheel, but I want to definitely give credit where credit's due. And he's come up with this acronym, or is it a mnemonic? I don't remember. It's one or the other, of FGOALS, FGOALS, and this is how we can make sure that we're getting in a good, well-rounded diversification of plant fibers into our diets on a daily basis. So here we are. F for fruits and ferments. I think that's pretty self-explanatory, but I will encourage you to eat the berries, eat all the berries, especially blueberries. There was a study that indicated that women who ate just 2 servings of strawberries or 1 serving of blueberries per week, that's not very much. I can eat a serving of blueberries like twice a day, 3 times a day. Women who ate 2 servings of strawberries a week or 1 serving of blueberries a week, their brain behaved like it was 30 months younger. That's 2 years. It's almost 3 years younger. Interesting, right? So blueberries, go for the blueberries. When it comes to fermented foods, just 2 or 4 ounces is all you need. If you're eating sauerkraut or pickled beets, pickled vegetables, just like 2 tablespoons is really sufficient. And nobody need to be walking around with 32 or 64 ounces of kombucha. No, put it down. If you want to drink the booch, but just like 2 or 4 ounces. If you want to have a bigger amount, just add water to it. You don't need that much. That's overkill. Remember, everything in moderation. Greens and grains, self-explanatory. I don't think I need to go any further with that. Dropping the refined grains, that's huge. And more greens, please. Omega-3 and super seeds. Now this I want to talk about for a minute. So what we're looking at here with these omega-3s, these are like your flaxseed, your chia seed, your hemp seeds. Okay, so anytime you can put those onto your berry bowl, onto your fruit bowl, as summer approaches, if you're going to start drinking some foods and complement to your meals. I'm not really a fan of drinking smoothies or green juices in place of meals, but as a supplement, you can certainly add some of these seeds to your drinks. But yeah, you can throw it on rice, you can throw it over your grain bowl. Anyway, those are wonderful, and they have a huge amount of omega-3s. And now you'll find omega-3s in walnuts, firm, tofu, and edamame as well, just to a lesser degree, but they're there. Now let's talk about aromatics. So this is a great category, and I don't want it to be overlooked with regards to your plant count, right? So aromatics are your garlic, onions, shallots, scallions, leeks. What these have in common is they're all allium vegetables, which is basically nutritional code for being jam-packed with nutrients, flavonoids, and anti-cancer properties. The stronger the smell, the better for your health, okay? So they're antibacterial, antifungal, even antiviral, and antiparasitic. Now, here's the thing about these aromatics. When you're cooking with them, use this code: chop, then stop, okay? Chop, then stop. Chop your garlic, chop your shallot, chop your onions, and then allow it to sit for 10 minutes before you cook them. This provides more opportunity of the enzymatic activity to occur. So chop, then stop, chop, then stop. Now, I do want to say that fresh herbs also fall into this category of aromatics. Herbs and spices, so much more than a garnish, right? They're nutrient dense, they have multiple phytochemicals, they're big on flavor, and they're another score for your plant diversity, especially rewarding if you're growing them on your own. I don't know where you are. Well, I do know where you are because I have the list. But where I am in northeastern Oklahoma, I mean, our soil is basically made of clay out here, red clay, red dirt. But I have found great success in growing rosemary, basil, sage. Those are three that just seem to, I mean, those just kick butt, and they keep coming back year after year. This last year, we planted a big pot of thyme, and the pot's too big and too heavy to bring into our house over the winter. So we've left it on our front patio. It's still growing. I can't believe it. It's starting to sprout more thyme now. So especially rewarding when you can grow your own. Legumes, I don't need to go there. You all know I'm a fan of the legume, but let's talk a brief moment about saprophanes. Okay, saprophanes, these are your cruciferous vegetables like broccoli, Brussels sprouts, even kale falls into this category, cauliflower, cabbage, of course. Now, saprophanes have an extraordinary list of medicinal properties, everything from cancer protection to regulating the immune system and even combating bacterial and fungal infections. So not to be overlooked. Broccoli sprouts, it seems, are the winner when it comes to a saprophanes that's offering the most power. Broccoli sprouts. So the next time you're at your farmer's market or at your local natural grocers, or if you see broccoli sprouts, grab them, get them, go for them. And then I do want to let you know that shrooms and seaweed also fall under the S category. So mushrooms, the great thing about mushrooms is that there's just a ton of variety out there, and so many you can actually go out and forage yourself. Really great fun. So they contain prebiotics, wonderful. And then seaweed. So seaweed like kelp, wakame, nori, even spirulina falls in this category. Super high in prebiotic fibers that you're not going to find in land-based plants. So, and I mean, if you consider that there's a strong possibility that we all came from the sea, might be a good idea to like feed our microbiome a little seafood, or seaweed rather, seaweed from time to time. And I did post on the Facebook page the website of Larch. I think it's Larch Hansen, but Larch is considered, like in the nutritional world, the go-to seaweed man. So if you're looking for sustainably harvested and fresh and straight out of the water seaweed, and really great recipes to accompany that seaweed, go to, gosh, I think it's called mainseaweed.com. Anyway, it's on the Facebook page. You can track Larch down there and you can order direct from him. I think he's up in Maine. Okay, so deep breath in, long exhale out. How do we build our Ojas? I want you to consider that you have a bank account, and take time every day to invest in this Ojas account. And if you do this every day, even small actions every day, that might be going to bed a little earlier or waking up with the sun, or it might be a little more oil in your diet or on your body, or it might be setting boundaries around the people at work who are just wearing you slick and draining your energy, and creating more of an opportunity to cultivate relationships and friendships with the women that edify you, that lift you up and support you, and that are on your team. So if you'll do this just a little bit each day, I promise you'll see profound differences regardless of your starting point, with healthy foods, healthy fitness and movement practices. Now, there's a time and a place, right? You can change your fitness and movement practices with the seasons. In fact, Ayurveda would suggest strongly that you do, not just with the seasons of the year, but with the seasons of your life, and with healthy friendships, avoiding the Ojas vampires, setting your boundaries, sticking to them. This is how you bring goodness and more Ojas into your life. Laughter is a huge Ojas builder. So anyway, about friendships, I want to just throw out here that I hope you are noting in the journal prompts, the daily journal prompts, that what I call love notes, that suggestion to identify someone, maybe it's a family member, maybe it's a friend, there's someone that you want to reach out to, and just drop them a note. We all love getting notes in the mail. And I had a friend who started doing this during COVID, and I had no idea she was doing it, but I started getting these random postcards that were just a sweet little, they were pictures of around Tulsa, murals and whatnot, landscapes around Tulsa, with just a little, hey, thinking of you, hope you're doing great. And it was, it made my day when I would get one of those. So I took the cue, right? So whenever I go into like a CVS, or I'm in Walgreens, or I'm at TJ Maxx, or somewhere, a bookstore, and I see a pack of 10 or 15 note cards, nothing fancy, nothing like super high dollar, but a pack of 10 or 15 note cards for $5 or $6, I buy them. And then I go through them. I send them out once every couple of weeks, once a month, maybe 2 or 3 times a month. I drop a note to somebody, and it's rewarding. It's rewarding to know that I'm making an effort to remain in connection with people that bring me joy, because it's a two-way street, right? I don't want to be the Ojas vampire that's just sucking up everybody's joy. And I have a long history of just editing people out of my life. So I'm really making a conscious effort to be more of a person who's throwing the line out, and you just never know when that card's going to show up for them in the mail, what kind of day they're having, and what your little note of joy might do for them. So I want to encourage you to pick up that habit. Ultimately, babes, as we move through the end of this third and final week, and you move on with your spring and summer and the months and seasons ahead, ultimately we are striving to create an environment where the healthy choice is the easy choice, right? And I think that's pretty straightforward. Creating, that's setting boundaries and discipline around grocery items, grocery lists, and meal prepping and planning and menu planning, of course, so that when we are pedal to the metal and putting out fires, or we find ourselves in the proverbial fire, we have already established those habits and those routines and those rituals that create an environment of health. The healthy choice now becomes not the hard choice anymore. Now the healthy choice is the easy choice. That's ultimately where we're headed. And I think you're already there. So yay. Thank you so much for joining me. And I will see you on social media.